fine. It's a really strong pick. Something that is interesting is that, you know, that Ezreal's kind of slipping through here.
Yeah.
And I do think that the Senna Kench, the Varus, you know, there's a ton of strong picks at the moment. It's kind of, it feels like there always stuff slipping through, right? The Gwen, the Viego, they're just going to go, Bro's just going to run it back. And like I said, sure thing.
Yeah, I think Afreeca are the team that have the onus to change something here, right? You could, I think these first 3 are okay, right? I think you can run this back. You can call it a salty run back or whatever you want, but this is a really uber strong top 3 picks here.
4 POGs in a row. Come on. Do it.
Come on.
I think that these first 3 picks are completely fine. I agree with you that we're just having the same exact draft. Okay. Let's...
I feel like I've been here before.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, we did cast the last game, right? Like that happened?
I think so. A bit of deja vu.
Yeah. A bit.
Okay, the first change is that Ryze got banned first instead of Akali in the second ban phase. That's the first change.
It's a different timeline after all.
Wow.
We're not in a simulation. Thank God. I was getting a little worried there. And even if you pick up the Camille as a Freak, I'm still fine. I think for me, that TF was kind of the problem. It was very clear that Fredit Brion knew how to deal with that pick. Fly not making the most of that. I'd rather see something a bit more consistent that doesn't rely on getting ahead and side laning to really get an impact here, right? And interestingly, an Orianna pick here, for example, could be really good. They do ban away the TF, which I think is an interesting call. I think if Afreeca pick up the TF here again as Fredit Brion, you're like, sure, that is okay with us, but they don't want to risk it. There is indeed the Akali ban, which I think is a good call. I think Fredit Brion would have picked it up, could have still flexed so many ways. You can put Afreeca or Akali. I talk about flexibility.
Well,
like no.
Yeah, this does leave the Gwen open this time around. So you know there was so much showing here from Brother that they hovered the Akali, they banned the Ryze first, right? And then they don't ban the Akali, so it kind of forces Afreeca to ban the Akali. That leaves Camille, Gwen available because it was banned in the last one. So we will have Gwen here.
That's a keen champion right there. It's a champion with immense laning pressure and also similar to the Camille, honestly, both team fighting and split push capabilities where you can put her in a side lane and she will out-duel, out-trade basically everyone, especially once she hit the 2-item point. And the big difference and something that, you know, champions to a lesser extent the Lee, but the Viego, for example, which is, I guess, one of the reasons why Korea doesn't like him, she keeps scaling. Right, Viego at a later point in the game becomes kind of hard to execute. Love this Orianna pickup. I think giving Orianna to Fredit Brion again would certainly spell doom because you see how well they play around that. And it also fits well, right? You have a great ball delivery system in the Lee Sin. Even Gwen can do it in a pinch. It's more consistent damage for Fly. Even if he does get shut down, it will remain with a lot of utility. So liking this adaptation from Afreeca a lot. On the side of Fredit Brion, actually, this Zoe to me, not as big a fan. I feel like it is a champion that, while okay, doesn't synergize amazingly with the rest of the composition. I feel like the rest just wants to go in. The Orianna already augmented that. It gave more survivability, whereas the Zoe is more looking to hit those bubbles. Sure, bubble and a rumble ult is nice, but outside of that, it feels like it's more picked for the lane, the prio, and possible snowball potential here.
Yeah. Definitely another champion that can just be countered by one single ability. Mr. Kench very much enjoys playing against the Zoe oftentimes, especially if he picks up Cleanse or an early QSS. Either way, Zoe definitely another champion that brings in a lot of player of the game votes as well. So if he's going, you know, it's not the Akali, but it's definitely something that can get you MVP. Especially if you consider the other players that play it a lot here in the LCK and how many votes they do get. Here is the lineup for Afreeca. So the only changes here is that instead of TF Camille, they will change the color of their composition here and bring in the Orianna and the Gwen.
Really like the adaptation. If Dread can have a better game, I think with this draft, you're way more set up. You can do more things, you can still get ahead, but now you can also fight on even footing. Whereas this comp from Fredit Brion feels like a little bit of a downturn compared to the consistency of the last one. Still though, plenty of ways to put the pressure early onto Afreeca.
Still listening for that crowd cheer, but Not just yet. Maybe in our next series, which, by the way, guys, if you're not if you're not aware, we do have W1D3, the 2020 World Champions, up against T1, who might just be the favorites for summer. We'll have to wait and see how the split does come along, but a lot of people are saying that T1 is incredibly strong. Obviously, a very strong first showing, rather. And with W1D3 coming back from MSI, maybe a little bit of a hangover remaining, could be T1's chance to get an early win.
Sure. But next week, T1 is playing against Fredit Brion, and that's the match we're all really looking forward to. They're gonna get that 2-0, and then they're gonna take on T1 in a timeline. I don't think it is the timeline we live in, but who knows?
They did it in spring.
It's, you know,
it's happened.
Everything is possible, and I want to see Keen really pop off on this Gwen. I think his early game performance on the Camille was great, but we saw him fall into like the same trap that we have seen him fall into so many times. As Umti, nice timing there, hits the overheat. That is going to make his life a lot easier. And it's also one of the reasons why we see the Rumble getting invaded. Has now swapped to the Predator, by the way. So that's a lot more consistency. Don't mind that. I feel like last game had a classic LCK style of early and mid game.
Yeah.
And in that case, Dark Harvest just doesn't really cut it.
Makes sense. I think you could do a lot more in terms of playmaking with Umti. Nice dodge there by Delight. That's actually a little cute thing. Sat more forward in the brush, not where Lehens would expect the Leona to be. Was not able to land the lick. And so, gonna be feeling pretty good about that one. Same lanes on the bottom side, so would expect it to kind of play out the same way. Very curious about this one. Hoya did very well against the Camille and the Lee Sin and TF pressure.
I think
he do against the Gwen.
Interestingly enough, I think he did better like 1v2, 1v3 than in the 1v1, because in the 1v1, Keen actually kind of ran away with the lane and is looking to do the same thing here again. And that's, I think, my big question this game for Keen is they're going to go in here, but this is a Tom Kench.
Oh, they're actually putting the pressure forward here. The exhaust has to come out, but Lehens will be forced to flash. And now they're coming in here, and look at this gank timing from Umti. There's no summoners in the bottom lane, and that is going to be 2 kills 3 minutes in for Fredit Brion.
And in the first game, it didn't happen as much, but this time Umti plays towards that strong bot side. He pays them a visit at the perfect timing, and I even said it right at the beginning of that play, like, they are all inning really aggressively here. And that generally doesn't really work on the Senna Kench. They should just be able to walk away. But Umti, with a beautiful gank timing coming through there, able to pick up a kill for himself and get his Kalista ahead, and just putting them on great footing here in the early game. Beautiful start here from Fredit Brion.
Yeah, I mean, it's picture perfect, right? You look at the path, he goes red into Raptors to Wolves to blue, and immediately goes down bottom side after hitting level 3. And the timing is just perfect in the lane state. You know, they were able to pull the lane into position so that they made the lane longer and gave themselves a better chance at making the gank happen. Just really great stuff here from Fredit Brion. And this isn't a lead that they had in game 1 either, and they were still able to win game 1. We'll see how they can do with a lead like this.
The live roaming, very nice. You always love to see it when the support leave lane after their first back.
쓰긴 해. 지금 미리 먹기 빼놓을게. 켄치 보자. 켄치 보자. 켄치 때려줘. 켄치. 켄치 볼게. 나이스.
I just started my lessons, but I feel like you're talking about going for the Kench.
Yeah, I think you're right on point there. Thank you, Chronicler, for the translation.
Yeah, I try my best.
Those lessons really paying off. You know, it's only been 3 days, but I think you've got it on lockdown. But yeah, basically the only thing you said was look at Kench. I'm going for Kench. Nice. So, yeah. Just really nicely done. Again, you could see the position of the lane and how much room they had to make that gank happen.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the Senna Kench, right? You have a lot of survivability, but actually trying to, like, once you have the shovel in the lane, trying to actually get it into the turret and reset it is really, really hard. Your early wave clear is not that good, and you also always need to respect. And And look at what it's actually done, right? Like, was able to get a sword pan boots, like, on his first back. Like, that's so much damage, especially on a champion like the Rumble that has always loved magic penetrations on his first back, right? Like, as far as his itemization go, like, way back, you know, when he was still a top laner, can't believe we're saying that, but that was that was what he used to be played as, right? And then as a mid laner, now he's a jungler, sometimes mid, possibly even support. Because the base damages on stuff like the Equalizer is so high, getting that back, especially augmented with Predator, is amazing. And falling behind early here, fortunately, there's one thing that's constant in the world of Afreeca, that's that Summit will get a CS lead. But sorry, Keen. Well, I mean, you understand my confusion.
Summit and Keen, very similar play styles.
And they also have the same unfortunate situation, which is they get the lead, and then what? Right, and this is not, I think, up to the players, but it's also just how the team plays around them.
Umpty's level 6. Yeah. He's here, he's ready to party. I don't know if anyone else is on the side of Afreeca, at least. Henna was waiting in the brush, trying to pretend like he wasn't there, but he was. And so Afreeca are able to read the pressure very nicely, at least. So no other gank will happen down on the bottom side.
Like the audacity, you know, like someone plans a party for you and you walk up the red carpet and you found out it's like, it's burning you. It's really rude.
Yeah. It's not the good type of red carpet for sure. As Umpty knows this is happening. He's level 6. He says, get out of my jungle. Cute little equalizer there. You could see Dread was thinking about sticking around for the smite, but not going to chance it.
I was like, is he going to clear the ward? But of course, needs to respect the fact that Dread might still be hanging around, and with the equalizer used, if Dread does ding 6 of those Raptors, then he might do something. But this goes back again to like the early pathing that we were talking about in the previous game as well, where Umpty has been able to get ahead in CS, right? Able to pick up a gank, or get a successful gank off, all on Rumble. Right, and like still hit 6 earlier. It's just, Umpty's been playing this out so well. And now trying to neutralize the possible pressure that Keen has. Wave is shoving back to Hoya so he can just take it slow, doesn't really need to risk anything. And Fredit Brion just in a pretty solid control, of course, due to the CS leads built up by Fly and Keen. Afreeca still gonna have, I say gold lead, but that's not even the case anymore.
Oh,
but Lava.
Lava's like, oh, I should be okay with this Strike Breaker. Nope, not the case. Has to flash, and now Umpty is going to run away from that one. Lava able to get back with the portal jump and just heals his way to safety, but that was pretty close there to getting some damage done for Dread, but they're able to push away.
And now the whole team is there, ready to make a play on this Herald, and I don't know if you want to fight this Afreeca. This is kind of a risky endeavor, although without the Shockwave and the Sana ultimate available, I feel like Bro can just move in here if they please to, or if they choose to do so.
Yeah, I love this stance where it's like you want to put pressure on in the mid lane, but now Bro getting a little bit caught off guard. Nice kick from Dread, but the damage is coming out. They're all trying to chase the Lee Sin, and they will be able to pick him up. And now the rest of Afreeca can't funnel in. A perfect abduct there coming on in, and they do get the kill, as that is 2 now going the way of Bro. And oh, he's actually just going to get bubbled up here, and down will go Fly as well. This is a disaster for Afreeca, but Bro play it so cleanly and are able to pick up 3 more.
And you see, Afreeca, I don't think you need to go for this. I think you recognize we've used 2 of our ultimates. This team is really, really strong. And that's easier said than done, right? Oh, they're going to go?
They're actually going, and that's the Rift Herald picked up by Umpty. Hoya says, yeah, sure. Take me down, I don't care. That's fine. So Keen is going to pick up the kill. It's actually really nice for Keen. Again, a very big constant for Afreeca. Nice for Keen, not so nice for the team.
Yeah, I don't think you can go for this, even with the Equalizer having limited effect. Dread trying to go for, if he hits that Q on Herald there, like if Shelly doesn't run away, he might be fine, but instead, the rest of his team goes in to like try and save him somehow. And funneling into a choke point against a Rumble, against an Orianna, against a Kalista is just never a good idea. It never works out. The fact that they get this return kill is really nice. Initially it looks a little bit sus, but Hoya buys enough time. It's going to be a free pickup for Keen. But if the first game of any is any indication, like I don't think that in of itself is going to be enough.
Very true. I mean, it's like a consolation prize at this point. You know, you get the 1 kill onto the set that's basically just been the punching bag of the game for 2 games in a row, but does his job, you know? It's something, but it's not nearly as much as the Rift Herald. And we'll see what Afreeca can do, specifically Keen, with that extra gold. As now trying, okay. Just getting a little bit of vision deep into the enemy jungle, I suppose, but now this is a little bit of a different situation from game number 1. It's Fredit Brion who has control over this Dragon Pit and could potentially go for it if they really want to.
I personally wouldn't mind it, although it's a bit riskier than last game. Do have the ultimates available when you look at that Solar Flare as well as the Equalizer can help them a lot. The main thing for me is that Afreeca this time has a composition that can actually scale and do well later in the fights, right? But you gotta keep the bleeding to a minimum.
Oh, here we go. That's a really nice Equalizer going to slow down the top 10. Lehen's basically dead. Has to flash over the wall. Nice little root will come in, but nobody else on the side of Bro is going to get super low or anything like that. Would have been nice if Bro could have picked off someone and then gone for the Drake, but now because everybody survives on the side of Afreeca, not going to risk it, looks like.
Personally would prefer that they don't. I think it's a big risk, and if you give Afreeca a good fight here, then they're suddenly going to be back in the game. Looks like they will go for that. Teleport is available here for Lava.
Okay.
Yeah, and they just bully him off, even without the ultimates, right? There's still a Fate School available. And this is a really big problem for Afreeca. Once you start giving up objectives like this, I don't know how easy it is for you to kind of get back into the game eventually, and it feels like at the moment, Afreeca, it's just Keen. That's it, in terms of plays that actually work out, in terms of cohesiveness.
Speaking of deja vu,
yeah.
I feel like we've been here before, haven't we, Afreeca fans?
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned game 1 for Dread on the Lee Sin. I don't think game number 2 has been any more flashy. In fact, I think the performance in game 1 was actually better, at least early on in the game. As that was really close, actually, but Orianna pretty fast at times. The phase rush. As now we're just looking to put the pressure down. You know, the Rift Herald was secured alongside of that Drake, and it's just going to be Umpty that picks up the gold from that one, as Afreeca will respond and get to the mid lane on time.
One of the main issues for Afreeca is that as you get later into this game, you're working against a couple of things. You have a composition that can definitely fight, but the mid game is going to be horrendous, right? I think in the late game with the Senna, the Gwen, and the Orianna, you actually do outskill eventually. I think that those picks just become incredibly strong. Fredit Brion in a 5v5 is not going to skill necessarily super well. You can always get good combos. As Lava!
That's a really nice trade so far, but thankfully for Lava is able to land the bubble. And that's done all without any summoners. This is Fly winning the big trade in the mid lane, and that's really what they need. Someone else to step up and do something on the side of Afreeca.
And get some pressure, and if you don't get that, the game becomes harder and harder. Because as I said, I think you're really far removed from you actually like outscaling, right? And outscaling is always kind of a relative thing, especially when you're playing against a team that their mid game is insane. Kalista just finished her shield bow, she has 2 kills. So fighting that and not blowing her up instantly means a lost team fight. You're down 2 Drakes, so you're gonna have to force a take team fights because it's an Infernal, right? You can't let that go. So as a whole, Afreeca is going to be forced into a couple of really awkward situations, and it's going to be like a hero play from Dread, you know, kicking Hannah into the rest of his team. It's going to be someone being out of position. And otherwise, maybe Keen that finds that pressure in the sideline. The pressure in the sideline generally means, sure, you get something, but we get the Drake, and we get the soul point, and then from that point on, your sideline pressure becomes less relevant, and it's just all downhill. So Afreeca, I think they need to be able to somehow pick someone off or win the next team fight. Bait out these ultimates, right? Get Bro to overcommit, and then use the sustain that you have as well as the Kench defensively. If you bait in a big shockwave, get a good kick from Dread. Because if none of those things happen, it's such a hard game to play out from Afreeca, whereas Fredit Brion, you know, you're ahead.
Oh, nice positioning here from Dread. Will there be any follow-uppers? This is the one-on-one. The Equalizer comes out, and look at the damage Dread takes, but the Q comes in. And Umpty's flash isn't enough to get away from Lee Sin's damage. A nice play there from the Ninja in the jungle.
Really well played by Dread, looking for the kill, actually finding a 1v1. Couple of missed executions there from Umti. Going for the flash, but you know, flashing in a relatively straight enough line, the Q hits you, and interestingly enough, has also gone for the Proto Bell, as opposed to the Night Harvest that we saw last game. So looking for a little bit more in-your-face type damage, a little bit different than the Night Harvester, which of course gives you a lot of upfront burst. As now it will be, this is the type of tempo turning plays that you need as a Freeca. So 2 or 3 more of those, and then we're going to feel a little bit better about the state of that game.
Yeah, you know, one step at a time is the way to do it, especially with Lee Sin in the jungle after not getting too much done in the very early game. Trying to come back in this one. Henna's been kind of left alone down here for just a little bit, but Fly is going to come on down, save the turret at least. Top lane, same story. You know, we don't really need to see this to see, you know, to see what we've gone for, but a big trade actually under the turret, and Keen is just going to solo him. As Hoya thought, you know, if I could get him under the turret, maybe it'll be enough damage, but underestimating the damage that the Gwen can put out here on her first item.
Okay, Keen. He's come to game. You know, he was ready for that. And honestly, I thought he was dead when he got slammed into the turret with aggro up.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what you need as a Freeca, because now, all of a sudden, you get the first turret blood, right? You get more global gold for your team. If Keen can now back, teleport into this Drake, and they get this Drake fight, the Freeca's back in the game.
And well, a lot of posturing over here. They're going to be looking for Fly, and where is the Ken? She is going to get there on time, just barely, but the Orianna will die to the Ignite anyway, and now Keen, once again, kind of alone here. Dread trying to get a kick down, only hits the one. Looks for the assassination there onto Henna, but this is just a broken fight for Afreeca. They cannot win this one, and that's going to be Bro picking up yet another Drake in this game.
You cannot get caught there as Fly. That's not allowed. You win that fight. I think 9 times out of 10, right? Hoya can't join until later. You have a fat Gwen that just had the back come in. You have an incredibly strong team fight. You cannot afford to get caught there. And that might be the one misplay that breaks this game, right? Afreeca, with this beautiful play from Keen here, so well aware of the damage that he has. Bone plating taking a lot of damage initially. Look at this. Has turret aggro but still survive just because of the needles that apply the passive.
Yeah.
Gives you so much more sustain and allow you to live. But you can't get caught there as Fly. Gets greedy for damage, doesn't respect the light.
Hence, he's in the mid lane. I mean, you know, it's not his fault. I'm just talking about the team positioning overall, right?
And this is the problem. This is yet again Afreeca basically being put in a position where if you execute it well, you can take control back of this game. And instead, the crucial member mispositions, gets taken down, and sure, you know, it's not technically over, but that was such a crucial moment for Afreeca, and it's not a moment you can afford to give up to Fredit Brion.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate too, because it just feels like an Afreeca moment.
Not
you know?
again.
It's like, okay, I don't know the exact time, but it's around 20 to 25 minutes, and someone just gets caught out, and we've seen this before. It's like watching the same movie 5 times in a row. But yeah, I mean, we'll see if they can get something going. We do have, it looks like, a technical issue with Fly's computer at the moment. Wouldn't be coming back to the studio here without some technical issues. That is just the way things are going to go.
Technical issues in the LCK. You know, it's a tale as old as time. It's a partnership that goes way, way, way back. And gives the opportunity to look at some of the players. LoL King Lava, still in peak condition rather. I really, you know, with performance like this, it's always the question of, does he drop off, or like at which point does he drop off? What if he just never does? What if he just rides this wave straight to a world's victory? You know, I don't like to overreact, but I feel like that's something we can talk about.
Someone recently, I don't know if it was Wolf on the cast a couple of days ago, someone was talking about how, maybe it was during our unofficial POG state 3 days ago, where someone mentioned how, you know, generally players, even if they're super hyped up and they're like the next big thing, they don't generally come to the LCK and like have super high performances right from the get-go, right? It takes a little bit of time to kind of ramp up. Maybe that'll be the case for Lava, right? Maybe he just needed, however many years that he has been here in the LCK.
He's just been scaling. Slowly scaling. He got Gathering Storm, you know?
He's a true LCK player. Well, we are going to have Umpty maybe dying, but actually is able to get away here. But Lava now in an unfortunate position. Dread looking for it, gets trolled a little bit by the range minions that are running away from Umpty. And that's a nice amount of vision in those brushes that enable Afreeca to go for plays like that. The light, what are you doing? That turret was incredibly low. He is going to be able to get away because he is quite tanky at this point in time. He's 1-0-6 on the Leona already.
Yeah, Delight and Hannah actually...
How is Hannah level 11?
Yeah.
What? When did that happen? Is he a solo laner?
I mean, supposedly. He's fed enough to be a solo laner. And I was about to say, I think Hannah and the Light have actually been, again, evolving into one of these bot lanes where they're still kind of under the radar. And I think until Fredit Brion starts actually performing well against teams that are regarded as like a lot stronger, because loving the performance from them so far, but let's take into account that, you know, the teams that they faced are teams that were weaker on the weaker end the last split. But if you can keep up this performance against the likes of a Hard One Life or a DRX, right, you slowly start climbing up. And I'm excited to see how Hannah and the Light do, because it never felt like, especially for Fredit Brion, outside of maybe the mid lane, which currently doesn't seem to be a problem, there was an individual lane that was a problem, and Hannah and the Light have actually looked good the last split as well, just never really came together. And to see them have such a solid performance thus far is really exciting. Coming into the next bit. Now, Afreeca has been able to find a couple of successful plays now, and denying this tempo, this snowball from Fredit Brion, in the end can actually become a bit of a problem. We already talked about, I think Fredit Brion later in the game is actually really going to have a problem. They're fairly short range outside of the Zoe, which against the Tom Kench, you know, not going to have necessarily the best of times. Whereas Afreeca, you have an incredibly well-scaling top laner, you have a Senna that just needs time and eventually will outskill basically everything. I don't know about this, Hoya. It's like, you
time to go home.
You're setting a trap, but I don't... and he's like, no, actually, this is not a good idea. Let's not do that.
You don't want to stay out after dark. You got to be careful. The Gwens come out at night. It's very scary.
Gwen is actually a deeply terrifying character lore-wise, right, if you think about it.
Well, I don't know about the lore, but just looking at her eyes, I was like, No, I'm just saying, like, I don't generally pay too much attention to the lore, but Delight is looking for something here, but they have to use Fate's Call to get out of that one. It looked like Afreeca really wanted to bait that one out, so that's a big cooldown, and a long one at that, with the Drake coming up here in a minute.
And this is good from Afreeca. You need to win this fight. Last fight, it felt really bad, but it wasn't technically the end of the game. If you give over Infernal Soul to this Fredit Brion comp, I'm pretty sure that that's the point where you go, okay, you know what, never mind, that's not salvageable anymore. Whereas now it still is. As Afreeca, it's hard, surely, but you can actually win these fights. You just need to execute well. Find a pick on Lava, find a pick on Hannah or Umpty, and go from there. Take control of this mid lane, try to get Prio. Your vision setup is super, super good. They can't walk into that unwatered jungle without the risk of getting picked off. Keen's parked in the side lane, the pressure is on. Just take a good fight, Afreeca.
Well, we'll see if they can do it. They've got a nice little surround with the Gwen on the opposite side, but the TP comes in, and a really nice pick comes out from Dread, able to get Lava into the mix, and a huge shockwave comes down from Fly, as Afreeca are finally here to play, halfway through game number 2, as the double kill, the triple kill rather, for Fly will be coming in, and it should be yet another one as they're looking for Hoya, but actually kind of, okay. Stop the tape. That's the end of that one.
I knew it was too good to be true, Veldas. It was looking a little bit too clean there.
Pretend I didn't see that.
Wait. No.
Oh, they got TP coming in.
No!
Henna's looking to steal the Drake. This is the soul, and he gets it. The Infernal Soul comes in, and the curse of Afreeca continues. Now, there are going to be 2 people on the side of Bro that do go down for this. Do they just run at the Baron? They don't have teleport on the Gwen, and it looks like Keen says no. So that's just going to be Infernal Soul going over to Fredit Brion.
I need a moment. That's the worst example of win the battle, lose the war that I've seen in a long time. Unbelievable. And honestly, you know, if you win this game, Fredit Brion, that pop vote goes to Hannah, because that was the presence of mind to be like, I'm gonna go, right? I'm gonna sneak behind them in lines, I'm gonna make it work. Now they go for a Hail Mary Baron, but even if you do get this, you know, the trade Soul for Baron is never worth it.
Okay, there is a lot of sieging coming out here. Keen is gonna throw out a bunch of needles, but can they steal it? No, the answer will be Delight goes over the wall. They do have the Fate's Call, so that will be the Baron going over to Afreeca for no casualties. So at least they're able to pick up that objective, at least. They needed something after what just happened.
And I think they basically need to win the game, right, in this instance. And the really nice dodge there, you know. They're able to make great use. Dread, this is the play we've been looking for basically the entire split. This equalizer doesn't really do that much. It's spread, and then everyone calms them in a choke. Beautiful ultimate coming through from Fly. That's the one we've been waiting for. As you said, finally, in the midst of game 2, he's come to play. Finds that gorgeous ultimate there.
Cut the replay.
Yeah, we don't want to look at this one.
Stop.
Oh yeah. I don't actually know if he cancelled it or if it was like he walked out of vision and that cancelled it. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. But then this is the fact that Dread is, you know, is doing Raptors like. They had no vision. Surely you don't expect this, but you can never allow this to happen. It's like the most important objective on the map at this point in time. It's just, they can come back from this and win the game within this Baron. And that's pretty much it. Yes, they have a gold lead, but the power of an Infernal Soul on a team like Fredit Brion is just so hard to deal with.
It's pretty rough. Right, Afreeca does have a 5,000 gold lead. They do have that Baron, as you did mention. Keen is kind of out of control right now. He is at about 3 items. But the equalizers are coming out. They're actually looking for more. That's a double solar flare hit. And now, do they have the damage to get in there? Keen is just a monster, though. Nobody can do anything to this Gwen. And Toya's just trying to survive. The shockwave will go wide. But Bro are immediately realizing, hey, we can't deal with this Gwen right now.
Maybe this is what Afreeca needed all along. They were just scaling into Gwen being a champion because Keen can finally take the rest of his team. And we say it jokingly, but this is the power of Gwen. This is what I believe this champion should be way higher in priority, especially with some of the top lanes that we have in the LCK, which has currently been. And I was getting pretty upset over the loss of an Infernal Drake, but it might not even matter if Afreeca is able to maintain his momentum, because now the gold lead has actually ballooned to what feels like almost insurmountable amount. It's 8k, and this is where that scaling issue, that range issue kind of starts coming into play. If you're not Tank Senna there, I'm pretty sure you're dead.
Yeah.
And in this case, though, you'll find Keen can just walk into 5 people as a you know, basically full damage carry, which is interesting to say the least.
Yeah. Talked about scaling.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's almost on 4 items.
It would be a bit of a special game if Afreeca is allowed to get away with giving up an Infernal Drake, Soul rather. But it does feel like that's what we're coursing toward, as we have yet another pause.
This one looks like Keen. Yeah. Refs are getting over there, so are the cameramen.
Like, where's my penta? I'm not sure. What's going on? Why is that not happening? Not coming to fruition at the moment.
Keen's like, I think this champion might be bugged. Seems a little bit too strong. Maybe we can change it?
That'd be nice.
Seems like a frame drop issue. And you know what happened yesterday when we had some issues like that? It took a while. It took a little bit of time. This says, Afreeca, let's win. BB.
Perfect ending.
I don't know if those are thumbs up or or if it was actually BB. I'm on the side. The winner is my team.
That's an easy way out.
I'm kind of like on the winner's side, yeah.
That's nice though, right?
It says, thank you for accepting me, LoL Park. I'm guessing she was able to pick up tickets.
Aww. It's good, you know. It's not as many fans as we'd want to.
First time in LoL Park in 2 years. It's been a really long time. Down there in the bottom left, the fine print. It's a really long time. Has been a while. Yeah.
It has been a while. I mean, honestly, for us, it's not been too bad because we got the pleasure of doing it or being back rather already in Springs.
Yeah, I mean, we were here in the studio, but it's definitely a different feel with the players, the audience.
It's just so much better.
Oh yeah,
you know,
it's definitely a different feel.
It was even worse for you guys because I came in and like I did remote broadcast, but that was fine because I'd never been to LoL Park, and then I went to LoL Park, but I've never been to LoL Park. There's so many people.
You're scaling.
Yeah, but now I can't go back.
Yeah,
you know that's the real issue here.
Yeah, you're only going up. That's the only direction for you to go, which is good. Don't want to go back. And yeah, generally like frame drop issues and lag issues, those are the ones that take a little while. This is hilarious. I love this guy. This meme is great. I feel like he's saying, just get the win? Like, what?
Handing him a victory.
And she's a Fly fan. Fly fighting.
Well, Fly's been having a pretty good game on Orianna so far.
Yeah, Orianna is one of the champions where I feel like if I were a coach and I were playing against a Freak, I'm like, just ban Orianna. I don't care what meta it is. Because Fly will sometimes just have games like this where it's like, oh, he only does this on Orianna.
Yeah.
Why not just take it away, you know?
I mean, he also, got caught, which was... When we ignore that, outside of that...
he would have done that on any other champion, though.
Well, that's the point,
it's
right?
not like a champion issue.
He wouldn't have done...
But at least he balances it out with good Orianna plays, you know? It's like he's providing something else as well.
So, I want to circle back to this. How have you never, like... Do you not know any of the lore of any champions? Deeply unsettling.
I know a little bit, but I don't really read into it.
I
know that,
you're waiting for the Riot MMO.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to spoil it, you know? I want to wait for the release, or at least the announce, and they're going to put out some, some preview storyline, and then I'll just read all of that. And then I'll be like, okay, so she's from there, and, like, they're enemies and stuff like this. I know some stuff, but I don't really pay too much attention to it. But if there is an MMO,
you will.
I'll know everything about the game. Don't worry. I'll catch up, guys. Don't worry.
It's going to come eventually. I feel like it's a long way off. Hopefully, there's the continuation of this game. Not a long way.
The thing about it is that they announced it pretty early, right?
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, we're starting development, and it's an MMO, so it's going to take like 5 years."
Yeah.
So, I wish they just didn't announce it, and then
just dropped it.
Yeah, because now it's like you have to wait so long.
On the plus side, now you can plan like 4 years ahead and like block off like 2.5 weeks. You know, like a month.
I don't know where I'll be at in my life in 4 years. Will I have the time to block off?
You'll be playing the Riot MMO, presumably.
Yes, I will be. that is definitely, that's the one thing I know for sure. In 4 or 5 years or whenever it comes out, I will be playing that game for a certain amount of time. You take a look at all these pro gamers and they all look really bored. It's especially because they're not allowed to talk about the game during the pauses. Yeah. So they're not allowed to talk about strategy. They can't talk about like, that was a good play there. They can't say anything about the game. So, these are LoL pro gamers. They want to talk about the game, but they can't.
It's also, you're in a state of focus. You're in the zone. You're trying to kind of get into a flow. And then not only are you forcefully pulled out of that flow because the pass comes through, but you are then also not allowed to talk. And it's one of those things where, when you're in class, and I keep going back to this because this is now a very recognizable experience.
It's like you're back in high school.
It really is. It really is. You're just waiting, and like the minutes just don't go by very quickly, and you're like checking the clock, and you're like, how is this possible? Like, you're just sitting there, you're not allowed to talk, you're not allowed to really do anything, and in that scenario, it's just like, yep. Yep. What you gonna do?
Yeah, well, what we're gonna do is get back into the game. Because I just got word that the issue has been solved. I don't know if the issue is actually totally solved, but we're gonna give it a whirl and see how it goes. Of course, Afreeca really need Keen to be at tippy-top shape right now because he's the only one holding this whole train together right now. Him and Fly, I guess, doing really well. And this is a unique position as well because Bro were able to pick up the Infernal Drake, or Infernal Soul rather, but of course, this leaves the Elder to spawn, you know? Once you get so far behind, after the Baron play and after the multiple picks from the Gwen, and she gets even more fed, and now you can't really fight for this Elder, it's like all of a sudden the game flips on its head.
The irony, if it turns out that leaving up that soul to be stolen was actually accidentally the right call by Afreeca. It wasn't really a call, it was more a lack of a call that led to that situation. But it might actually legitimately be better because they have full control. There's no way that Fredit Brion is going to be able to walk up. They're not going to have any vision, and trying to walk up with the Fredit Brion comp without a flank, you know, a set ultimate, vision scoped out so that Lava can just throw Sleepy Trouble Bubbles into a Baron up team. It's not going to work. And the Freeca Freecs, they're going to be more than happy to just walk into your base, start a team fight, because once you get this Elder buff, it's supposed to prevent the exact situations in which excels, which are absurdly long games.
Well, we got Teleport coming in here, and going for the kick. That's not going to do too much, but is taking way too much damage, and Lehens with the final blow. Getting that lick down, that's going to be the Rumble going down, still has his flash, and that is Elder Drake going the way of Afreeca easily here. Bro not even going to contest it at this time.
Gotta say, Veld, is that Infernal Soul looking less and less relevant as the time goes on. And now we're getting to the point where, honestly, as Afreeca, don't get caught. Group up, walk into the base as 5 with a minion wave and just fight. Just find a team fight, and the sheer power of the buff should be enough. As, yeah, an attempt at Protobelt to make it work is not enough. Over the wall, and it's Lehens of all people who finds the snipe with the tongue. And yeah, I don't really think it doesn't matter who went down there. If anyone goes down on Fredit Brion, you're never going to be able to contest. However, a lot of your team fighting power just immediately gone, right? It's never going to be a situation in which you can walk up and find the smite steal, or it shouldn't be at least. But not having an equalizer is just a very unfortunate situation. We're talking about, you know, walking with the Elder buff that can actually get Baron as well. And Baron and Elder together is as close as we can now just walk in and end the game, regardless of game state, as it gets. They have an immense gold lead.
Yeah,
Comes with a good game here.
Keen's level 18. The closest guy on the map is 16. And Hoya is level 14. So, what exactly are they going to do against this Gwen? The answer is nothing. With Baron and Elder, level 18 Gwen, 30 minutes in the game. I don't care what kind of Dragon Soul you have. This game feels just about done. We'll see if Bro have any chance of fighting up against this. They have decent wave clear, I suppose, with the equalizer that does come out. But you mentioned the low range. Zoe will struggle even to hop in because she has to be careful. And against Baroned up minions, it's not going to be easy. There should be multiple inhibitors going the way of Afreeca now.
So look at that. That's a gold lead. Found by Afreeca after 25 minutes. That's a rare one right there.
Yeah.
And I would not mind if they just went for the Nexus turrets here. Your bot wave is really far away.
Yeah, okay, so the equalizer's going to come out. Pretty lackluster, just trying to clear the wave here, but it's a bit rough. Fly electing not to shockwave onto Henna there, who was standing on top of the ball. As we are going to have the play coming out here now. The shockwave is going to miss, flash away, but just look at Keen dragged into the pit, actually. Gets a double kill, and might be looking for more. He's got the Elder. Not going to get that final one, but it does not matter. We are going to be going to a game number 3 as on the backs of Keen and his Gwen, Afreeca are able to